have a 50-year-old Japanese maple, and it was given a bad pruning about 5 years ago and has suffered ever since. Now it has resprouted, we've got new structures coming on board, the tree is rallying, but we do have these areas of bark loss that are the result of that interruption to circulation. The tree is in guarded condition. It's still beautiful in spite of the injuries it's sustained, but it will be determined by these injuries the remaining lifespan the tree has. If we continue to use good management practices into the future, hopefully we'll be able to recover the tree back to high beauty and high value again. The main issue, of course, is our bark loss areas and decline and decay of the structural wood. Of course, this is a very, very serious injury. This has taken place over time, and it is the result of the heading back and the topping cuts that were done to this tree years ago. When these very aggressive heading back cuts were made, there is not sufficient circulation or sap pressure for the tree even to sustain its own bark. So usually on the top side of the limbs is where the bark loss will occur, and that's what we've seen in this tree. In each case, on the top of the limbs, on the sunny side of the limbs, is where the bark loss has occurred. That has been the first place the bark has failed. Now, the trees are still alive, they're still hanging in there, but they're seriously damaged, and these kinds of injuries could be seen as a death cut. Now, the tree has reasserted itself. It's grown new leaders, there's new tips, there's new laterals, and that new material is beautiful and fresh, just like a nice young tree. But they are mounted on the old declining lateral and leader limbs of the main structural armature, the main scaffold of the tree's structure. So these kinds of injuries do not heal well. The only thing that we can do is try to slow down decay and give the tree more time to cope with these injuries. But usually these kinds of wounds cannot completely heal and will ultimately be the death of this tree. We could get a few more decades out of it, maybe 3 or 4 more decades even is possible. But finally, the ultimate arbiter of this tree's lifespan is going to be these injuries. So we're going to go over them, we're going to retreat them. You can see where the tree has tried to roll calluses in and has not been successful. And the new cambium broke down and was not able to sustain. And the tree has sent out new tissue behind the old bark loss areas. So in a series of declines and responses, the tree is still hanging in there. So we're just going to keep a weather eye on it. We're going to monitor the tree, and about once a year we'll come back and we'll treat these areas where bark loss has occurred and see if we can just keep the tree going, give the tree more time to wall off the injuries.